This is the time we are shooting for. Okay, I'm going straight into the news. Hong Kong's crypto hub ambitions win quiet backing from Beijing. So, normal YouTube headlines will be like, wow, this is great. The Chinese are coming back to crypto. But is it good? Is it? Smells a little bit like fear of missing out. Gives me a little bit of a chill. Now, the other reason it gives me a little bit of a chill is that I'm wondering if these guys know something, at least in Beijing, about any potential problems with the dollar. And that's why they're suddenly like, ooh, maybe we made a mistake on crypto. I don't think it's having the crypto miners in China, although that could be it. It either smells like a contrarian sell signal when the people who hate it start liking it, or they know something's wrong with the dollar. Now, can someone please tell me why the premier of China is getting on a plane to go visit Russia right at the start of the Ukraine war anniversary? Not sure I like that either. We'll go through it in the PowerPoint. A dictator bent on rebuilding an empire will never be able to erase the people's love for liberty. Brutality will never grind down the will to be free. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never. President Joe Biden. Meanwhile, as the geopolitical tensions rise, the cryptocurrency I actually don't like, MATIC, dumps 6% as Polygon cuts headcount by 20%, countering this narrative that, corporate America is going to embrace Polygon. I get it. Polygon had retraced 50% of its move off, from last year's high, 2021 high to last year's low. It actually went 50% back. Bitcoin did that. It was at 40%. I had a terrible experience trying to use Polygon to sell an NFT. So I'm not really seeing what everybody was in love with here. And people may try to buy the dip, but my attitude about taking this money and allocating it somewhere else stands. Ethereum-based AI project soars after announcing partnership with an electronics giant. Okay, again, Web3. So if they smack the market on The Big Short or World War III, we're going to get a shopping list put together. Okay, because in the last, say 10 hours, the news flow has gotten terrible. Terrible enough to where there could be a multi-day dip where you want to have a shopping list ready. Okay, trading platforms get a license from New York to start providing crypto services. Okay, a lot of people think crypto is dead. It's not. It's not. Stacks token soars 130% amid Bitcoin's NFT hype. Okay, so yes, it's nice that STX, the native token powering the Bitcoin Stacks blockchain, went up 20% overnight. I like Bitcoin having utility. I hate the Chinese coming in. Everyone in love with MATIC, and then they lay people off. And everyone's like, oh, FOMO. Remember when it was all FTX? Okay. Now it feels like, oh no, it's the other way. It's the other way. Now, just to add two anecdotal stories, I live in Austin, Texas. There was something called a street takeover, basically where you have Fast and Furious style activities. And this is a mob making a police cruiser retreat after throwing firecrackers at it. I would define this as social disorder. I mean, Austin is it's turned into a kind of hippie version of Los Angeles. So all of a sudden they have the Fast and Furious going on, right? And this mayor, as if he didn't have enough problems, now has social disorder and a dispute with the cops. So people are pissed. They can't pay their bills. Inflation's out of control, right? Remember this? And then the cops can't afford to live in Austin. So they want more money. How is it that you have one police officer against a mob like that? I mean, if you go one county north where they don't fool around, there would have been more than one cruiser there. Let's put it that way. So this reeks of social disorder. So all of a sudden, right, the things that sort of underpinned risk assets, right, I think they also underpin Bitcoin, because the whole theme of the stream is Bitcoin versus the big short. And you're like, the big short? What's that? All right, well, let's go through what that is. Okay. All right. Jan says, don't fade MATIC or Polygon. Okay, I get it. You know, my bad experience does not mean everybody had a bad experience. I get it. Lord Junta is here. Bubba, Zach, Aaron S. Welcome, right? Welcome to the show. Greg, somebody's here from Uruguay. Martin, welcome. Kenneth, Richard, SFG, Mississippi is here. Saskatchewan, hello. Tito. Okay, PowerPoint. Okay, time to get serious. Social disorder, bizarre weather. Smells like some sort of astrological shift to me. I don't like it. I like buying dips, but sometimes you get more than a one-day dip. Okay? Now, I know you're like, all right, Bill, but let's go over the geopolitical developments. Okay? Somebody from the U.S. government clarifies that the U.S. supports Ukrainian attacks on Crimea. Crimea used to be part of Ukraine. Now it's a part of Russia. You know, historically, it was a part of Russia. But the point is, there's a Russian naval base there, I believe. Okay. So all of a sudden, we're all into attacking Russia proper. Putin suspend nuclear missile treaty, puts missiles on combat readiness, which I might be inclined to blow off until Z decides to get on a plane. Whoops. Right? Because I don't think the Chinese want the price of goods, wheat, whatever, to go any higher. Right? If Putin and Biden have got their finger on the button, the Chinese are like, whoa, we don't need this. And it is a little weird that crypto, stocks, bonds, and commodities are all down today. That reeks of the big short. Back to the Chinese in crypto. This is seen as a good thing. Obviously, the more people you bring to crypto, it is a good thing. But I would be careful with this, okay? Because just because they want back in, it might be a sign of irrational FOMO. I like the market better when everyone hates it, to be honest. Okay, let's talk about housing. This goes back to this whole big short idea, and I'm eventually going to pull this into like what the crypto tactics are, along with Confessions of an Analyst. So this is XHB. This is Homebuilders. I went to the chiropractor this morning. He told me how he did a good trade. He sold his house on a golf course in Austin for twice what he paid for it 3 years ago. Okay. Then he tells me he bought a smaller house, and he then describes the fact that, you know, he's from Miami, and Miami housing has not rolled over yet. And I'm like, oh my God. If I know that, Jerome Powell knows that. And I'm like, whoa. Okay. This means, you know, higher rates for longer. And if Austin is blowing up, but other cities haven't blown up yet, there are additional shoes to drop. Then I go look at XHB, which is a home builder ETF in the US. 13 top, 9 top, confirmed 13 top here, and then boom. Banks, XLF, US financials. Okay, you have a high, and then they break the high, but they put a 13 and 9 bottom in, and then it comes back out. Longtime listeners will recognize this as the failed rally. Beware the failed rally. Okay. US financials and XHB have got support below, so I'm not totally panicking, but I don't like the way this looks. Guys like Michael Burry from The Big Short, they've stayed bearish, even with the market rising. Crypto is trading well relative to equities, which are down 2%. In part because Walmart gave bad guidance. That's not really a secret, to be honest, that, consumers are going to slow down. Walmart stock is not moving. But this whole idea of, recession, higher interest rates, the chickens came home to roost all of a sudden in combination with weird weather, notable social disorder, and serious geopolitical developments. So this price action today is no bueno. VIX. All right. I don't want to get crazy, but what could be as big as COVID? Like in terms of a market shock, right? The only thing that could be as big as COVID is if you had some sort of geopolitical event, like a nuclear event. Like if Putin comes off a nuclear treaty and Biden writes a tough text, that's scaring me. Normally, when one side makes a lot of noise, the other side should shut up or at least be, not too hawkish, right? They're both escalating at the same time. So if VIX is up today, VIX in terms of its like Bollinger Bands, the Bollinger Bands are narrow. Now they're not as narrow as they were right before COVID. Okay. That was at the end of the year of 2019. But I don't know if I like the fact that VIX made these new lows and the stochastics made higher lows. This is a 3-day chart. So this makes a case for a sharp rise in fear. Now, is that sharp rise in fear today? It's a one-day event. We go booga booga and then everything changes. Maybe, but it changes how I want to manage risk, right? It also changes some of the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts as well. Okay, here's the top in MATIC, right? This is the D wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done. Okay, how big of a retracement you get? I don't know. Maybe you get a small retracement. It's just a little one. But when this was like massive FOMO and then they cut 20% of the people, I don't know, man. I mean, normally when you cut 20% of the people and it's down, that's bullish. But when everybody is like, nobody can stop MATIC, and MATIC is like, yeah, we got to lay off 20%. I mean, you would think, based on the way this has been trading and the news flow, that they wouldn't have to do that. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying this is or is not a good coin project. We know it's a good project. What we didn't know was that the best project in the world would be laying people off basically as it's going to the moon. So I'm like, oh, Jesus, what is that about? Okay, here's Biden. Again, Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, never. It does not leave a lot of room for flexibility. Meanwhile, in S&P, the 13 top was here, maybe hard to see. That was right at the first of the month. Then it's done this, range, which, didn't mean much until this thing started to roll over. Now, sometimes when you have a trend starting, you get a counter move on the DeMark 4. So to describe this in English, the top was confirmed a couple days ago. The rally to sell was yesterday based on a DeMark work, and this thing's down 2% today. So normally I don't really take too much heed from stonks. This is enough to bother me to be like, if you got long 2 days ago or 1 day ago, you need to rethink what you're doing, right? Especially if you lost money. Okay. So people need to manage risk and think about trade location with this kind of stuff going on. I'm not saying freak out. I'm saying we have to respect what's going on in legacy. We've been paid for 1.5 months to be go crypto go, ignoring all this. Now, I don't know if you can ignore all this, at least for the next 3 days. Okay, Bitcoin dominance. God, this is so weird. Okay. 1 minute, it looks like ETH is going to break out and altcoins are just going to go to the moon. And then I'm sitting here looking at Bitcoin dominance and going, well, if you have more than one down day in Ethereum, like in other words, if you have 3 or 4 days where altcoins get hit, okay, there is resistance in Bitcoin dominance here at 44%. But God, I mean, when Bitcoin dominance went down off Celsius, I mean, it went straight down. So if you get something stupid happening here, right, this leaves the chance that Bitcoin basically stays unchanged or actually develops a bid while everything else gets smacked. Now, that's not the way it is right now, but if you have a geopolitical event or you have more noise overnight, okay, this is a point of concern. Now, you never want to make too much of one day, okay, but we want to make sure that I'm intellectually honest. I think there's a difference between being enthusiastic about crypto, enthusiastic and passionate about your audience, and being dogmatic. So let's talk about Ethereum versus Bitcoin and this giant diamond formation. So right now, Ethereum versus Bitcoin is below the bottom of the diamond. And that makes me a little nervous because, you know, diamonds can lead to violent breakouts. So the best case scenario is that today is a one-day affair. You know, we have a day where all the weird stuff happens, and tomorrow we're back to business. Okay? That would be really bullish because if you do a false breakout from one of these things and then go, that would be terrific. But go back to the Bitcoin dominance chart in your head. Right? If Bitcoin dominance could take off and Ethereum versus Bitcoin is slumping, oh my God. I mean, this is not something I was looking for a day ago, 2 days ago. I'm looking at this going, oh my God. And the Williams oscillator is pointing towards a big move. So if something stupid happens, I feel obliged to go to my audience and be like, hey, you got to manage risk here, right? If you're going to buy a dip, you know, you may be looking at a 2 or 3 day dip, right? And if you got profits to protect, now may be the time to protect them. I always say, don't get off the bus. Yes, don't get off the bus. If you've got core longs and you can hold them, fine, not investment advice. But if there's profits or you did a bad trade, you know, you may want to take some of that given the geopolitical developments. I don't want to get off the train. I definitely don't want to get off the Bitcoin train. Or the Ethereum train for that matter. I think crypto actually holds up fairly well. I just don't want to wake up to some sort of event, right? Hopefully, the best case scenario is this is another brick in the wall of worry, right? In other words, everybody goes, oh my God, there are all these things to be afraid of. And then the market goes higher steadily. But you got to be careful of event risk with this stuff going on. Now, the good news for crypto, nobody wants to buy the dollar. I can't come up with a good reason to buy the dollar unless we're about to have some kind of global calamity. But right now, no one's buying the dollar, which is probably why Bitcoin and Ethereum are holding up. There's still resistance at 104. We'll see what they do. Okay. I am sort of dogmatic about the dollar. I can't come up with a reason to buy it. Last year, they couldn't come up with a reason to sell it. I'm still going the other way on that. But I don't want to be a fool. I don't. Okay, let's talk about what else is good for crypto. Avalanche. Okay, still liking this. I still don't understand why this is $2 billion cheaper than Solana. Support at $19.92 held. And I have seen Avalanche go up when the rest of the market slumps or goes down. I have seen that. Now, you got to be careful about celebrating relative outperformance in crypto. When everyone goes, oh, yay, you know, crypto is doing better than equities. Just be careful with that. But there is still a bid out there. So it's about setting up a shopping list and about setting up support and resistance levels. And a lot of this is going to depend on stocks. A couple guys I read yesterday were like, yeah, crypto is just going to break out if Legacy doesn't tear it down, right? Legacy is currently a major drag, right? Hopefully it's a day or 2 days, but these big short guys, they are going to be out there. Like they're going to be out there today. And if this stocks close down like 2 or 3%, they're going to be after those markets. The thing that really makes me nervous is interest rates are up and stocks are down. Normally people panic and buy bonds when stocks are down. That's not what's happening. It's either our bond market has been, abandoned, which, is a reason to buy crypto long-term. Okay. Or, it's a double toxic thing where stocks are down and bonds are down because interest rates are higher, right? It's almost like anybody who owns anything is down today. Maybe except for Avalanche. And that's the market update. Okay, so that's the PowerPoint. I'm going to switch over to live TA. Let's just make sure we give some love to everybody who's here. Okay, K-Real is here. Village Cooking is back. Welcome. All right. Mr. Moby Dick. Right, we have NOCNY. Still bullish on Zcash. Yes, I am. Okay, I wish the SEC was not on the warpath. I do still like Zcash. Okay, Matt's asking about the Galaxy digital chart. I'll be sure and take a look. Philip is here. Welcome. Right, yeah, Philip is actually able to catch the stream live. I'm glad we got on. Dante is here looking for seller. Okay. Village Cooking says buy prepper gear and make sure you get a radio. Actually, I actually agree with that. Okay, Bubba says Putin's got a speech ready for the 24th. And Daniel says Tito's vodka from Austin is overrated. Crypto Future wants crypto taxes at 0. Carpe Diem is here from Tennessee. Okay, and we have Andreas here from Cyprus. Kim Craig is like, yeah, we need an astrological shift. Yeah, well, I agree, but when you have S&P at basically at 4,000 down 2%, there's going to be some consternation. There's going to be some consternation if S&P takes out 4%. A better shot. Welcome. Sydney AUS, welcome to the show. GF, Lord Junta. Okay. Let's go to live TA. Okay, so this is S&P 4 hours, right? SPY. You're at a 6, so I'm guessing you got at least one more full down day. Whoops, not sharing the screen. Okay, here's S&P. Okay, this is the 4-hour chart. There's the 13 top. Okay, and then you have, probably at least 3 more, probably 12 to 18 hours of this before you would expect any kind of turnaround. Okay, let's go to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, let's take a tactical view. All right. The good news is on a 4-hour chart, Ethereum continues to hold. So that's good, right? The fact that Bitcoin and Ethereum are holding up relative to what's going on in the rest of the world is a good sign. Okay. Bitcoin has the 13 top on the 4-hour chart, and it looks like all anybody wants to do is buy a dip. Now, that doesn't mean it can't go to 23,000. And I really hope this time that I'm absolutely mega wrong, that when everybody goes, and this is also possible, right? This is, you are watching, people ask me, it's like, so Bill, how'd you learn XYZ? This is how, right? In other words, if this thing turns around and goes up tomorrow and all it was a 1-day dip, even though there was all this scary stuff, this is what would happen in equities in 2009. So it may seem like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, and I'm not. I'm advocating risk management, and I'm advocating if you bought high, looking to sell higher, you think about it if you've lost money. That's what I'm telling you, right? It's about a plan and risk management, because you can't have this kind of stuff going on with the geopolitical arena and just blow it off. This is what the guys from the Big Short were looking for. So Bitcoin, yes, this high may have been a buying climax. It's not testing support. It's not doing anything. Okay, let's go to ETH on a daily chart. You know, I was so angry that everybody was afraid of 1742 that, you know, I kept saying, God, you know, they got to go through this. And you know what? They still might, right? They're banging hard on this area. So I guess your 1660 level becomes very important. You know, maybe that's the line you draw in the sand, right? Probably hard to see over here. It's probably 1660. Now, let's just go to a 90-minute for the super tactical look. Really not a lot happening, right? That there was a 13 top in ETH, but it only produced sideways movement. That's good. That's good, right? In other words, if I didn't know what I saw about legacy, and maybe I'm just freaking out for no reason, maybe it's a case of, oh, you know, I see something scary and I go, woo, everybody get out. Bull markets love doing this, by the way. So Bitcoin, you get the 13 top, they run some stops, and it just holds. Let's hope crypto is the champion. The title of the stream is Bitcoin versus the Big Short, right? Is who's going to win? I say Bitcoin, right? Unless this is like a major event. Okay. If this is just a one-day dip, you're going to turn around and see Bitcoin much higher. Okay. Rudy reminding you to like and subscribe. Please do. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Okay, let's check Cardano. Okay, I thought Cardano was going. I really did. Okay, now it's in the boat with everything else. Let's just go to a 90-minute tactical view. So this to me is just a range. There's nothing here. I wish I had something fancy to show you in Cardano. I think the thing I like the best is the weekly chart. Okay. But there's no real DeMark signal here to get too excited about. There's just the fact that there's no resistance really on this chart until 46 cents. Okay. The moving average in that other chart was generated by a completely different system. I missed that. Okay, maybe we'll come back to that. Huckleberry Native is back. Welcome. Sebastian, if World War III happens, money that is not controlled by any country could go up big time. That's what crypto is about. And that's why Bitcoin is holding. And that's why the Chinese want in. Just a lot of weird stuff happening on the same day, right? A lot of weird stuff happening on the same day. Okay, let's try DYDX. Okay, the 13 top was like on the 19th on the 40-minute, 4-hour chart. Let's just look at it daily. Maybe that's the right time frame right now. You know, DYDX looks like it kind of ran out of gas. And we're testing whether or not the old ceiling is the floor. So I would absolutely love it if it looks like doom and the dip was just one day. And I'd probably be like, oh, buy the dip. If it wasn't for the fact that yesterday I was like, hey, let's find some support points to be cowboy bullish. And all of a sudden, with geopolitical wrangling, especially since you've been long the whole time, again, I don't want to get off the bus, but I don't want to get killed either. I don't. Right? Okay, Crypto Clan says Ren is moving. Ren is usually a pretty good indicator for Polkadot. Okay, so let's go to daily. You know, when it comes to Ren, I'm a much bigger fan of Polkadot than Ren. In other words, if I saw Ren moving, I'd be like, well, maybe that means Polkadot is going to wake up. And I still think Polkadot is a good, is a good coin that's completely underappreciated. Okay. Completely underappreciated. King is here. Welcome. Okay. Bart is asking about FTM. Okay. Let's go to FTM because I know that this was another like high flying coin that, like big YouTubers and Twitter guys were going back and forth with this. Okay. Resistance was at 56 cents. I did see a TikTok or a YouTube short where guys were talking about can FTM go to $3? So this thing went up so much when they unwound some really negative news. I mean, this thing went from 19 cents to 65 cents. And, clearly they've been selling it above 50 cents. I don't want to get bearish, right? But I don't want to get caught. Okay. So again, is the old ceiling the floor? I mean, I would love it if we turned on the stream tomorrow and be like, oh, wow, one day down. So frequently in markets like this, you got to be a real cowboy to just close your eyes and buy the dip. Okay. I don't want to do that right this second because I think in bull markets, you can get these 3-day dips. It feels too easy today to just buy any dip. Okay. Crypto Clan says if DOT moves, Kusama, Glimmer, and Moon River should go too. He's right. Okay. And somebody's saying, so is it time to sell crypto? It's time to take a part of your profits if you haven't. Right. Like I would not be, this is, not investment advice. You need to protect some of your capital in case something happens in legacy. That's how I would do it. What everybody else says is you need to have a plan. You need to have support points where you would buy the market on the dip, and you need to have levels now where you would set up and say, okay, if it breaks such and such a point, I'm out. I'm out. Okay. I do not want people to get wrecked here. Okay. Mark is asking for silver. Weird that precious metals are down today. Weird. Okay. So SLV has a 9 bottom and an amazing bullish engulfing candle that's engulfed the last 2 days. So this chart is actually pretty bullish for silver. So yay, we found something that looks okay. This an avalanche. Let's see if I can get fib lines drawn here for silver. So that's pretty good that it hit the 50% retracement of the most recent run up and held. This is, while we've got it here, let's just look at GLD. That's the gold ETF. Okay, same situation with the 9 bottom. Okay, and it hits 38% on the number. So really, really interesting how gold looks today. Okay. Tactical points needed for NEAR. Okay, NEAR has really good support at $2.52. I think to get really rosy about NEAR, it's got to get back above 258. 258. So 252 to 258 is like a neutral zone. Below 252, you have to manage risk. I do like the 9 bottom. I like the 9 bottom on the 90-minute chart. I would like to see this turn around and go higher. Right? You don't want to be in a situation where, it goes, oh, well, the DeMark work just changed. This has actually never happened on the air. So sometimes price action can actually shift to DeMark work. You see it go back and forth. 252 is support in near. Let me get off this chart before this thing drives me nuts. DeMark work can change in front of your eyes as price changes. Okay, Secret. All right. Is Secret dead? I do not think Secret is dead. On the 90-minute chart, you have a 13 top and a 9 top and a double top, and people reacting to that. Okay. And obviously, you got people selling aggressively, right, at 85 cents. Yesterday's talk was about, is resistance, or is it just a place to stop? So when you have people trying to break a market out like this on a coin that's interesting, but then you run into these geopolitical developments, right? I mean, we went from everything is fine to the Chinese are coming back to crypto, to housing collapsing, banks collapsing, bank stocks collapsing, Walmart with horrendous guidance going going out into the future, and interest rates higher anyway, right? This is probably what's got people like wigged out. Like stocks are down, right? And bond yields are up, right? I mean, this is the interest rate on the 30-year bond that, impacts 30-year mortgage rates. 4% is obviously a big deal in terms of psychological levels. And this thing is like sitting right here. So, we've been paid to ignore all this stuff for being, all of 2023. Now, oh my God, if this bond market stopped here, unless it was on unless it was a stock calamity, I want to see interest rates stop rising. Let's put it that way. I definitely want to see interest rates stop rising. Okay, let's go to GMX. Okay, because we need to manage risk as best we can. Okay. Okay, I don't think this is the right GMX. I have it as GoldMax. I don't think that's correct. Okay, let me just look over here. Okay, so in GMX, you had the Williams oscillator get very close to zero yesterday, and you had this thing, I don't know, sort of knife down. Okay, when you have a coin that's gone from 20 to 80, okay, now I get it. I know this is, it like a derivatives play, I believe. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. Okay, as Andre reminds you to hit the like button hard. GMX, right, is the old ceiling, now the floor. Right, this is the 89-minute chart. Now, again, sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I want you to manage risk, right? But I want you to be quick on your feet. Like old Rocky movies, they used to say, stick and move. Not have geopolitical tensions wind up as something real, destroy your portfolio. Now, that said, one of the reasons to manage risk is if this all turns out to be BS, and we get to make the joke that even sometimes, even the bulls get scared out of bull markets. That's why I'm not in total panic, get off the bus mode. I'm just about managing risk in the light of the fact that certain sectors in the equity market looks like it's got a big short look to it. But I love the fact over here that AVAX is up today. And like, believe it or not, Cardano is actually not doing too bad. All right. Aaron S. is liking the show today. Notorious Bill live show really kicking today when sentiment turns euphoric, it's going to be a madhouse here. Yes, it usually is a madhouse when the market starts moving, especially when it moves a lot. Okay, especially when it moves a lot. Of course, I'm here for you. I'm passionate about the audience. Passionate about the audience. Okay, one thing I did want to go over. Paxos in talks with the SEC over Binance stablecoin. Okay, the firm behind Binance stablecoin is in discussions with the SEC after the regulator told the company it should have registered the token as a security. They're in constructive discussion with the SEC, and we look forward to continuing the dialogue. It's funny about the SEC about how they go after people, and then perhaps that was for headline's sake. When you actually look at the details of what they're doing, maybe it's just noise making. So if you need a little bullish Kool-Aid today, this could be it. This is not the SEC running in and shutting people down. Okay, I had somebody in here looking for Sandbox. Still so interested in the metaverse. So interested in the metaverse. Okay, today is a down day. I'm guessing that if there's not a calamity in stocks, you could have 2 more up days in Sandbox. Like in some ways, if I took the risk to buy the dip, right, it would be Ethereum, Bitcoin, and the metaverse. It's not clear on the 90-minute chart whether you're going to have another big flush below 75 cents. It's just not clear. Like this 9 bottom should have created some sort of upward movement by now, and it almost did until all these crappy headlines came out. Right? So let's just review. You're going to have a shopping list with support levels in case this thing flushes out for 3 days and then the Ukraine war anniversary is a non-event. You also want to have levels where you're going to protect capital, take profits, or limit losses. Normally, I'm not giving people the risk management lecture. I'm giving the risk management lecture if everything is down and it looks like the big short. Or it looks like it did back when these big short guys attacked the market. I'm hoping that they're wrong, because if they are wrong and the S&P holds, S&P holds 4,000, then it's going to turn around and go higher. Okay. King wants to know, is Chainlink dead? Okay. So Chainlink has a 9 bottom on its tactical chart. Okay. This is the daily chart of Chainlink. Now, there was a 13 bottom here, and Chainlink went from, $5 to $8. But big picture, Chainlink is in like a basing mode. I know that things like Chainlink and even stuff like MATIC have huge followings. This is the time that I remind you that, first of all, in a bull market, not everything rallies at the same time. Okay. Some stuff doesn't come back at all. Okay. And there has to be a catalyst. So if you have something that's in a basing mode, it doesn't mean you have to give up. But the question is, do you still believe in it? Right? In other words, if you've got something that's in base mode, there have been a couple coins we've gone over the last couple days. They were in base mode, and then all of a sudden, they took off. Right? Let's see if I'm going to pull up. I'm going to pull up Fetch here. Okay, computer not cooperating. Let's see if I can get Fetch on this chart, and then we'll move on. The point is, okay, so here's Fetch, right? You had to sit and watch this from June till now, do absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then it went from 9 cents to 60 cents, right? It took out this high, right? So my thinking was everything was going to take out the, like the FTX, the May high. Obviously, this did that. I'm still hoping that that is the upside goal. I just woke up this morning and I walked in. I go, oh my God, if the housing bubble hasn't popped in Miami and, the world leaders are opening the silo doors, at least let's get people to manage risk and come up with a shopping list. Because if this is a non-event, we're going to be back grabbing it. Gloom and doom makes a huge buying opportunity in bull markets. You just don't know whether it's a one-day dip or a multi-day dip. Okay, synthetics. Synthetics broke a trend line. Okay, I don't know if this is a head and shoulders top or not. I hope it's not. Okay, so here comes DeMark work in synthetics. Computer is not cooperating today. Okay, someone's dialing in and says, I have a shopping list. Somebody's looking at Raven Coin. Back when I worked for Charlie Shrem, somebody wrote a report that worked there that we called Raven Coin the tokenization of everything. See if I can get to a different page here to get DeMark working. Okay, let's go to Raven Coin over here. Okay, interesting that this is up on the day. Very interesting. Okay, you have to be careful that these blue candlesticks are not tops. Okay, but again, you want to talk about people who have been suffering for a long time. I mean, I'm talking a long time. There was a huge spike up in Raven Coin when ETH miners were going to migrate over. God, I would love to see this thing smoke higher. And, during the bull market, it can actually pay. It can pay to buy what's up on down days. Not everything rallies at once, but sometimes when you got something that wants to go up when the rest of the market is down, that can be, I don't know, that can be a strong sign. I mean, if you look at this in Raven Coin, the 13 tops here, it starts to count the other way, but, you get this disruption today, but it's still up. It's still up. So, I mean, that makes me feel pretty good. Okay, KDA has the 13 top, right? Next update would be a 9 top. So it looks like, as you broke through that or you tried to get to that November high, people were selling it. So you had bears take control twice here, and now they're selling it when it's down. Don't want to get down in the mouth, but I'm guessing the support around $1.10 would be the place you would want to get it if there's a flush, right? In other words, when you got the geopolitical stuff going on over the next 3 days, maybe you just let them come to you, right? In other words, in the past, you've had to grab it. And look, if you look at the daily chart of this, when this thing dips, man, it really dips. They give you a hard time. So, you don't want to get stopped out running in, buying it too soon or at all in case it's a calamity, right? Okay, Audius or Audio. Great day to think about Web3. I don't blame you. What does Web3 have to do with geopolitical developments? Nothing. It's probably why Avalanche is higher. So there is like a flip side to all this. You have support around 31 cents in audio, right? From this moving average system. If you look at the tactical work, right, it broke support at 32 cents. It is logical to think that this might be a correction of a 4-wave, and there could be a new high. So whoever's got Raven Coin and audio in their bag, it doesn't look awesome, but it actually does look okay. It's good when I do this live TA thing. You know, you say, oh, well, MATIC is topping and S&P is falling apart. Some of these smaller coins like this, you know, this could be opportunity here. This could be opportunity. People coming in asking for Vulcan. Is that what PYR is? Okay. On a 90-minute chart, Vulcan hit support, or PYR hit support at 390. And it's riding a moving average. This is a DeMark-based quantitative moving average system, so I don't have to guess. Is it the 21-day or the 50-day? It's just called Moving Average System 2. Okay. Supported 390 is holding. So, you know, it's copacetic. Okay. STX, I think we talked about this earlier. I always used to call this DeFi on Bitcoin. That's what we used to call it. Okay. You have a 9 top. So here's how I would do this. Frequently, when you get trends starting, so let's just pretend for a moment that this is a mega trend of DeFi and NFTs on Bitcoin. I get a little nervous when people get euphoric like this. Breakouts are one thing, but let's assume this is going to continue to go up. It is not uncommon to get a 9 top and then get a dip, which is exactly what's happened here, right? You get this huge run up, and everybody who's been trapped in this thing gets out, right? The high from sell in May and go away at Memorial Day around 63 cents, it may be the floor. This was the old ceiling, and it's to be determined whether or not this is the floor. So the reason live TA is worth hanging around for is that you can look at the charts, you can look at the geopolitical developments, you can pray that ETH doesn't break down versus Bitcoin and do all that and give you the risk management lecture. But this is like the 3rd or 4th small altcoin in a row. We're all like, boy, unless this thing's going to crash, like this could be the level to take a shot, which is funny, right? So you have top down, which is like stocks and bonds and VIX. Then you have bottom up, which is like Raven Coin and Audius and stuff like that, STX. Okay. Optimism OP, I got to go over here. Okay. Trying to get OP up here. Okay, so the hidden pivot structure from yesterday did not work out. It's a nice way of saying I was wrong. It's very important as an analyst or a trader to say, okay, that structure was wrong. So let's draw what new things we can see. Well, obviously, we hope it's not this. Keeping in mind that this was like a market leader. Now, this has not been triggered yet. Okay. But when you see this Williams oscillator near 0 like this, it means there could be a big move. I would love it if it was up. That way I could lecture you and tell you that this reminds me of all the times at Goldman where the bull market would shake me out and get me going the other way. That's why I'm riding the middle ground today. I'm like, hey, it's your support, but manage your risk, right? If you bought yesterday at the top and the trade's not working out, don't stick around with the loser, right? You can manage your risk. There will be another trade. Now, if you had dry powder and you were going from MATIC into something else, maybe you let them kill this thing for a little while and then go back in. No harm in waiting to see if they're going to hit it for 2 or 3 days. Now, as we're looking at optimism, so this is a leadership coin, supports at 211. You do not want to see this below 211. Let's put it that way. Okay. I'm somewhat encouraged by the fact that as bad as equities look, actually, I'm somehow not encouraged by this. Let's try to draw this here. So I don't know. This could be a complex head and shoulders top. Okay, and then we'll talk about what this could mean, right? First of all, this is a lesson that the best chart formations are the ones that people can't see. Either means you have to be imaginative without being stupid and dogmatic. So this is a complex head and shoulders top. And the whole reason that this might be so is that it went and returned back to the neckline and failed. So if things get ugly in equities, okay, the downside target is measured from the neckline to the top of the head. Okay, and that would give you a target of 3,900 in S&P, which is where S&P was after the correction in mid-January. So this is ES1. Okay. This is obviously a case where buy high and sell higher did not work in crypto. It didn't. So the second that you're wrong and you walk out of the chiropractor's office and real estate in Miami hasn't gone down yet, rates are higher, you have social disorder, weird winter weather, and the president of China getting on a plane all of a sudden to talk to the Russians, that creeps me out. That creeps me out. Okay. This is probably going to be a buy in 3 days. Okay. But you don't know. You don't want to take this risk that you wind up with, you know, a 5 or 6% drop in equities and get caught in crypto because of legacy. Nothing worse than that. Okay. Big Rich is here. Welcome. Wants us to take a look at HBAR. So the bottom line on STOX or STX is, I like the idea that the floor could become this, the ceiling could become the floor. But when you have something go from, you know, 20 cents to 80 cents overnight, taking that money is an idea you should think about. Okay, let's look at HBAR. Okay, so this is the daily chart. And this looks like people headed for the door, right? You have the 13 top, the 9 top. I was totally okay with this moving average holding right around 0.084. Okay. But I really don't like this. See, this is like, if you look at Optimism or you look at any of these like leadership coins, all right, Philip likes the idea of like managing risk. Again, the worst thing in the whole world is that there's this like 3-day blowout, because this is what happened in 2009 and 2010 in equities. You'd have these like 3 to 4 day blowouts, and then everybody would get stopped out and give up or get short, and then it would go the other way, right? If we're going to do like Get to the Chopper, the sequel, you know, we want to do it now. So, I mean, with ETH, 1660 is still like, I don't know. It still feels like support to me. I have a tough time getting hysterically negative about ETH, even though, you know, these daily charts show, these intraday charts show nothing but sideways price action. That's it. Okay. Somebody's asking for Solana. So the news about the phone is out. Solana held support at 2484. So sell the fact took Solana down. You know, the next rally will be at probably a tactical 13 top. You know, on a 4-hour chart, you're approaching a 9 bottom. You may have to wait like today. And now Solana today is a 9 top. Okay. Last 9 top stopped Solana for a couple weeks. This is both a 13 and a 9 top. So how would I read this? Well, let's see. Down here at 9, everyone hated it. Solana was dead. Now Solana is releasing the phone. Yay, the phone's coming out. Maybe it's time to sell the news. I really thought this was going to go to 35. And if this is just a dip and the market ignores the 13 top, it's probably going beyond 35. Beyond 35. Okay, but, you know, this was the old support level in October. You broke that off FTX. That low was 26.84. So the fact that the news is out and you have a 13 and a 9 top, if you FOMO'd into Solana in here, manage your risk. That's all I'm saying. And I would love it if I can get on the stream tomorrow and be grabbing the microphone going, okay, dip's over. But if the dip's not over and you get wrecked, I don't want you to blow a month of bull market profits because I blew off, you know, some clear warning signs out of legacy. If the warning signs from legacy are not warning signs, then crypto is going to the moon. That may take 3 days to develop. Huckleberry Native, welcome back, says, I wanted to buy Solana at 19. Will I get the chance? Wow, we got all kinds of good questions today. Okay. So in Solana, you have your double top at 26. So I would guess the worst case in Solana is that you would buy it at 15, which is the 62% retracement of this whole run up. So if you're truly like, wow, you know, what's the dream downside target at 15 at Solana? It's 15. If you wanted to dream the, you know, the big dip dream, trust me, if Solana's back at 15, you won't want to buy it, but that is one level that is interesting. Another level that's interesting is the 38% retracement at 1983. So $19.83. So if the market does get hit, okay, if it does get hit, you know, 19 is possible. Like right now, I am not in a hurry. You know, if I had a long bag and I was taking profits and putting stops in and I woke up tomorrow and this thing was off to the races, I'd be like, congratulations, everybody. You just got a great example of what it was like back in 2010, where there'd be a flood of bearish news, or 2009, the market would stop for 2 days and go right back up again. Oh, I wish that was the case. I do. But I don't want my audience to get wrecked if that's not true. If it's a new uptrend in Solana, I mean, if Solana takes out 26.84, we got time to get long. We got time to get long. But I don't want to be bullish at 9 and at 27 not be smart, particularly with some of the PowerPoint I did yesterday. Okay, someone's asking about Bark. Someone was also asking about GLDN. So Bark went up, right? There was some water news. Bark went up and everyone is taking profits, right? This is a 4-hour chart of the water token. So there was positive water news. There's a water book, which I bought, but they're hitting this today, right? And GLDN is in the same space. Is frankly one of the things that bothers me about the whole market, right? There were positive catalysts. There were positive catalysts across a wide range of markets, and people decided to sell anyway. I mean, I work for this company. I own this token, so I share in this pain. The fact of the matter is you had bullish catalysts going on across asset markets. The Solana phone's out, and people are kind of like selling the news. Wolf of Crypto, good afternoon. Okay, good afternoon. Okay, I don't know. Cocos? Hey, Cocos? Somebody wishes they had a bag. Okay, now we made some cutesy TikToks and Instagrams about this. This is an example of the bigger the base, the higher in the space. Right? I mean, anybody who believed in this, like the harder it is to stay in the trade, just keep in mind, CryptoPunks, Chainlink, Cardano, these things all came out in 2017. Some of these people had to sit with, they just had to sit forever. I mean, you want to talk about dead? mean, look at these wicks in Cocos. Like every time this thing went up, people sold it. Every single time. Right? And then all the sellers are out of gas, and then boom. The bigger the base, the higher in the space. These kind of coins are all over the market. The question is, can you find them? Can you get the breakouts as they happen? Most likely, you're going to find them in coins that had a story that the people who originally bought it just said, you know what? I'm buying it, I'm hodling it, and I'm leaving it. Let's see what the DeMark work says on this. Okay, now, that said, when you get higher into space and you get a 9 top and a 13 top, it's okay to take the money. I mean, in a best case scenario, it goes up to 434, but I don't have a problem taking the money if you get euphoria. I mean, again, oh, the Chinese are back in from Hong Kong, and oh my God, MATIC is going to make corporate partnerships with everybody. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. Now, Wrong Again says these dips are not as bad as they could be. And that is true, right? I mean, the stock market is down 2%. Okay. And Bitcoin is down 1%. Bitcoin holds like a champ, which is why Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum will hold if this thing goes big short. Really don't want to have to clear out of Bitcoin. I definitely don't want to have to clear out of Ethereum, right? But this thing didn't do today what I thought it was going to do. Okay, Matty D catching the stream from Australia up at God knows what hour, right? Definitely appreciate that. Loop ring. LRC is the ticker symbol. Okay, loop ring, 13 top, 9 top. Okay, it tried to hold in there yesterday, and then they hit it today. Now, there's good support right around 41.5 cents. Just be smart. Okay, I mean, people who made money in this, like I've been saying, stay with the trend, stay with the trend. I do want to stay with the trend, but I don't want to see people's profits disappear on a 3 to 4 day flush. If you had to take profits, if they keep your fingers crossed and be patient and look to get back in, I'm in favor of that kind of strategy. I'm in favor of having any strategy. Okay, API 3, I remember this from last year. Again, on the daily chart, same deal. You have a 13 top. Maybe you have a 9 top coming. This thing has paid you to buy every dip. The only issue is, like I said, there have been these very big flush outs, but it's been a stair step higher. You got the 13 top and then it goes down. The smaller coins, they don't look terrible. They don't look great. Okay. Nothing here either way, buy or sell. Have I looked at Blur? I've heard a lot about this. Okay, now I'm not familiar with the fundamentals on this, but when you have these like new tokens, so there were definitely buyers of this. This is an 89-minute chart of Blur. %38 retracement is 94 cents. If they flush the market out as they can do with these new tokens, there's a lot of people buying it at 94 cents. You can tell by the candlesticks, right? It goes anywhere near that and they're all over it. Now, if those people wind up being wrong, the 62% retracement is down at 67 cents. Okay, that's how I would play this. Okay, Mina got hit. Okay, let's look at the daily chart. Okay, so Mina got hit because you had a 13 top and then a 9 top, and it hit this, like DeMark gives you a blow off top level when it gives you the 13 signal. So somebody was up here at $1.17. And, like yesterday, I was like, wow, look at this moving average support. They love it. They're taking it up. And then all this geopolitical news turns around. So we don't know. Is it this or this? We're going to know in the morning, right? If stocks, you almost got to trade this off stocks, right? If stocks stop going lower, then it's going to be okay. Okay. Yeah. So say Blur is big competition for OpenSea. That's correct. By the way, if you watch the stream on Twitter, leave a 1 in the comments, either on the stream itself, Twitter, or here. If you're watching us on Twitter, let us know, please. Okay. Let's see. In IOTA, if I have this right, 25 cents is support. Okay. And everybody is sitting wondering in this, is it going to take out the FTX high? I would have thought that it would have done so by now, to be honest with you. Okay. If it takes this out, it's going to run into more resistance here. So if you get something that goes from $16 to 28 cents, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is if you love it, and look at the base in this thing. I mean, it's just, in other words, if you've been holding it this long, when you look at it this way, if you want to take a tax loss and come back in, okay, great. But it does seem kind of strange that when you look at all of these cryptos, they all look like this. They all look like the bigger the base, the higher in the space. Okay. So I do have a page for AI tokens. Okay. So this is VAI. And, I have told you what in large part I'm thinking on AI tokens. Most likely, if you're buying AI tokens now, you're buying it from somebody who's been investing in AI for months or years, thinking that this might be the next big trade. I would rather buy ETH on a dip. I think the AI trend is interesting, but the better way to play it is Web3, because if something weird happens and you get caught, you're not going to like what happens if these tokens are now overowned. 50% retracement is at 0.13. Someone's talking about dollar cost averaging. You dollar cost average in things that you believe in long term. So I'm not telling you not to believe in this. I'm telling you that if you start dollar cost averaging and you have a market washout, I don't want you to get killed. 62% in this is 10 cents. Okay. Someone's asking about this AI coin. Okay, so this could be interesting. Okay, kind of running stops below the 38% retracement. Okay, so 50% of the move is 0.017. All right, now here's the flip side of the AI thinking. If the answer in AI is buy every single dip, right? At least you know it's on support and you can set up stops. Right? Right now, it looks like they just flushed everybody out below the 38% retracement, and they may flush everybody out below the 50%. That's 0.017. 62% is 0.014. Okay, when I hear DCA, Like you DCA and stuff you plan on holding for the long term. I always ask about AI coins. Do they have enough data? Because machines need to learn from something. So it may say it's AI. That's great. But how many of these AI coins are actually AI coins? Okay, AGIX is up today. Okay, but it's up, but you see people taking profits. Again, people who were buying this, you know, I don't know, last year at 3 cents were probably selling it to people who were FOMOing into it at 66 cents. Okay, Crypto in the Matrix from the UK is here. Welcome. Okay, so again, you know, it is a base. It did go higher in the space, but now everybody is in a big hurry to sell it. Right? Sometimes with these things, when they moon, you know, you have to ask yourself, what is the original thesis? Right? If you get the base and it goes higher in the space and you get a whole bunch of money all at once, what do? Right? There's a difference between staying with a trend and looking a move from 2 cents to 15 cents and being a pig. Okay. So Moon Sector 7 is back. Welcome. Appreciates the wise words. Okay. Jasmine, my producer's going to kill me for staying on this long. By the way, if you are looking at this and you are here, you know, you can X out of the chat on mobile and hit the like button. Please do it. Okay. Is the ceiling now the floor in Jasmine? Okay. There's pretty good support. 0.006. So there's support underneath the market. Okay. Just checking the 4-hour chart here. So there's pretty good support in Jasmine at 0.006, right? Or 69.68. You know, this is neutral, right? You're going back and forth in this range. You know, people have suffered a long time in this. You know what I mean? Like if you've suffered this long, I mean, yes, this has been a good tactical rally. I don't know if I feel like FOMOing into anything here. It has paid to buy the sharp dips. I think this really depends on S&P. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up there. If stocks bottom, crypto is going to rip and go to the moon. However, I have underemphasized knowing what support levels and risk management you need to have for geopolitical events over the next 3 days. My 6 cents is that you're going to want to buy dips, but you don't have to buy the first dip. Okay, until this, like, you know, Ukraine, everyone gets their finger off the button, and then we can go back to business. Bitcoin, Ethereum, I still like them. I'm your host, Bill Noble. I'll see you tomorrow.